welcome again to the People Just Like Us podcast. We're Healing for the Heart, and we're here to chat with, exactly as the name says, people just like us. We're really glad that you have joined us today from wherever in the world that you're joining us from, and I'm absolutely delighted we have a new guest on the podcast today, and our guest is Stella today. I'm not going to say very much about Stella because I don't normally do that about guests anyway. So have a listen, and Stella's going to tell us a bit about who she is, first off, and how she came to hear about Healing for the Heart. So over to you, Stella.
So my name is Stella. I'm 24 years old. I live in Hamilton. I came about hearing about Healing for the Heart through a business networking group that we're both part of. So I run a small estate agency and thought about joining this group, and it has opened up so many doors. And this charity is just amazing, so yeah.
Fabulous, it's really good to see. I didn't realise you stayed in Hamilton, so not that far away. So I stay in South Lanarkshire too, so just up the road. So there you go. So we probably passed each other on the motorway somewhere.
I have been here, there and everywhere, but I'm back in Hamilton. That's where I'm from, and I'll stay there now.
Excellent. And so we have had an estate agent on here recently already. So Jane Buchan came on and she chatted with me just a few weeks ago actually. And so that's been released, that's gone out now as well, so people will have heard that one. But you know Jane as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'll need to actually listen to that. I've not listened to it yet, but yeah, me and Jane actually work together.
Right.
So we probably don't mention that a lot in the group, but we work together. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the whole estate agency thing?
Do you know, I finished uni, I'd done a degree in international business, and then I finished uni, thought I wanted to be a personal trainer. I also wanted to do financial banking, so I worked with Morgan Stanley for a while and just thought the work-life balance was not it for me. And then I decided to start an estate agency. I always liked houses, I always was interested in them. My dad owned a construction company, so it just seemed like the right path to go down. And last March I started the estate agency. It's been going well ever since, and then teamed up with Jane, and the rest is history. We're now doing very well, which is great. So
fabulous. What is it you like about it?
I think I like being out and about. I've worked from home for so many years. The minute the pandemic hit, I worked from home ever since. So actually being out and about, meeting people, closing the deals, getting the best price for my clients, like I find it all so exciting. And then the day you get to hand over the keys to the new homeowners, it's just such a rewarding job. Yeah. And it's just so nice to see how grateful people are. And even when things go wrong, it's on you to fix it, and being able to fix that for other people and just getting them through the full process, because it's not an easy process. Selling your house can be really upsetting for people, so...
Yep, I think that's one of the things that came across in the conversation I had with Jane, was about how much actually goes into it. Because like, if I think about estate agents, I just think about somebody that's going to stick my house on a website and, you know, tell me if somebody wants to come and see it, or somebody's made an offer on it or whatever. And because that's been my experience of estate agents, there's not really been any. I couldn't even tell you the name of any estate agents I've used, because like they were so distant and so remote. And that's what was really interesting about the conversation with Jane, that this seems to be completely different, that you guys actually really get involved with people.
Yeah, we are very hands-on. The minute you decide even to reach out to us to kind of get a valuation for your house, we create a chat and WhatsApp, and it's constant communication from there. Right now I'm actually helping a client who lives over in Australia. She wants new flooring, her whole house painted, the gutters done, the garden done, so I am organising all of that for her to basically get it on the market, and then all of the stuff that goes into getting the house on the market. And we don't just say, okay, you organise that and we'll come back when your house is ready. We are actually doing that work for them.
And I guess that doesn't matter whether the client's here or the client's in Australia.
No. The only kind of hard part is once the sales went through, they actually need to physically sign the paperwork. So the paper needs to be sent away to them and sent back before the completion date.
Yeah, but really, really fascinating stuff though, yeah. So do you find you using your degree or things that you learned in your degree, or has that just been about getting to a certain level of learning?
You know, I think I just went with the degree because I really didn't know what to do after high school, and I wouldn't say it's actually helped at all. And in a business, they don't tell you how to start a company, they don't tell you the going on of company, trying to manage wages, everything like that, and nobody tells you anything at all. Even the people skills you need to run a business, it's a totally different learning experience for the international business. It is, I suppose, you learn about the international markets and things like that, and maybe it will come into play one day if I ever take the estate agency international, but I'm not sure where we'll go.
So does that then mean that kind of over the last however many months you've had somebody that's actually been supporting you through that in terms of setting the business up and all the rest of it?
So with being partnered with Keller Williams, they help you set it up. They kind of help you, tell you what you need, and you need to go out and do it. But my partner Milton, he helps a lot as well. He's very clued up. He has his own business, so he really has helped me through the full process. I don't actually know how I would have got through it if I didn't have that support there.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. We've had several business owners on the podcast, and that certainly comes across as a theme from everybody, that it's not just about you doing the thing, you actually need the people who are around about you supporting you, because that keeps you grounded but also keeps you going.
That's it, because there's been so many times where you just want to give up because it's getting too hard, or you just think, oh, I don't know where to go from here, what is the right answer, and having just that support network, it really helps you keep going and, like you said, keep you grounded and don't just throw everything out the pram.
That's right, because it's really easy to get caught up in all of that, isn't it? Or to get caught up with, the latest thing that's the hiccup that seems like insurmountable just at the time.
Yeah. Or the next business idea, or it's just when things get too hard, sometimes you think, okay, how can I pivot? And sometimes it's not about pivoting, it's actually just getting through the hard part, and then you're right back. Okay, things are smooth sailing again. It's just getting through that.
And I suppose that's not just in business, so that would be some of the stuff that we would work with here with people, so when you hit something that's really difficult, a season of life, or something happens that's really difficult, what gets you through that, and we would talk about being resilient in that and how you get through that with your resilience. And I suppose that's, well, we're a mental health charity, and one of the things that we like to talk about is how kind of things impact folks in terms of their mental health and well-being. So I don't know whether you have got some insights from your own life, or whether in terms of what you see round about you, where things are at as far as mental health and well-being is concerned.
To be honest, I think I first came into understanding what mental health was round about my teenage years, because I think so many teenagers are inundated with hormones, all the changes, the turmoil, and I really know that affected me. I really struggled through my teenage years to stay in a level playing field in my head, and think everything just seems like the end of the world, and getting to school causes so much anxiety, being in high school, everything. But I think what I've seen now, I realise that mental health isn't just yourself. Everyone struggles with it, whether that's through your teenage years, going through the changes of businesses and different jobs, and your middle of your life, and then like menopause and everything. I've just seen so many people's lives touched by it around me, and I think I'm a lot more aware now of how vast it is. Everyone struggles with their mental health. It's not just you, and it's not like a taboo subject anymore. Everyone is talking about it, and there's so many things you can do to help now. Like, I've tried so many different things. I've tried like hypnotherapy, everything to try and keep my mental health level, anxiety levels down, and especially with the pandemic and things, I think that kind of threw a lot of people off, and it made it so much easier to stay indoors and not get out and about. And I think for a lot of people it just thought, okay, I don't need to socialise anymore, but then you just end up in a hole and you realise I actually need to get out and see people. And I think even I see it now with a lot of people that I know, they won't see people for weeks because it's just easier, and there's nothing you can do. It's just whenever they're ready to come out and actually just get that support.
What do you think that's about in terms of wanting to withdraw like that?
I think the pandemic definitely played into it. I think also having social media there, you feel like you're getting that social interaction without actually having to go out, and like having to work from home, and life's busy as it is. It's just easier sometimes. You think, oh, I'm keeping up to date with my friends because we have our phones, we can just text or send each other funny videos, but you're not actually getting that human contact.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of people can associate the difference now. It's the lines are just crossed completely.
Yep, I think that's really interesting. We often in these conversations talk about the impact of social media, and we see that with not just the younger folk that we work with, but older folk that we work with as well. It's across the board in terms of the impact. I think your point about that people think they're having that social interaction and that's all that they need. So what would you say the difference is then, if there are folks, because obviously this goes out on social media, so we have a social media community, if you like. What would you say to folks in terms of the difference between the interaction, the digital interaction, and the real interaction or the physical interaction?
I think, do you know what, it's actually really hard because you can laugh at videos online, you can talk to your friends, share them, laugh together, but it's just so different to having that human contact in person, of saying, like, telling a funny story or just being able to properly open up. You can hide so much behind a screen, but actually in person you're more than likely going to open up if your friend's sitting in front of you and you've been struggling with things, or it's not as easy to hide things. And I think that is the difference. It's, you actually need to speak and you need to be able to have that human contact.
Yep. I wonder if in some ways that's another kind of side, if you like, of social media, that because social media portrays this airbrushed version of people's lives, then in fact people, it's difficult then, you're saying almost if you're in an interaction in person with somebody, it's much harder to hide stuff. And in actual fact maybe we're creating not just a generation of people, but generations of people who have this kind of presentable side of who they are, but in actual fact people getting to know what's behind that is often really difficult.
I think it's safer for people to portray who they are online. They feel safe. They don't feel like their flaws are going to come out. But if you're in person, like you said, it's hard to hide and it's hard to just show who you actually are. But people just need to realise that if someone likes you for who you are, going to like you regardless of all your flaws and everything. Everyone has flaws. It's not uncommon.
So what do you think for you then has been the benefit? Because obviously, as I'm trying to do the maths in my head here and thinking that you were probably at uni during COVID, probably the start of your course.
So I was about, I think we got a year and a half in, almost 2 years in, and then we went to online learning.
Yep. And so you had the kind of the uni life, if you like, for a year and a half, and then it all stopped because it was all online. And then you came out of that into work, or did you go back to uni?
So we stayed. It was all online, and we graduated online as well. So then we still had an in-person graduation, but the classes never resumed in person. And then I worked 1 day a week in the office, and the rest was at home.
Yep. And so what do you think the benefits then are in terms of not being on screen? You know, so I suppose partly, as we've talked here, you were saying, you know, about that if people like you, they're going to like you anyway, and it's hard to hide your flaws or hide what's behind the facade if you're in person with somebody. But what are the benefits? What does it do for you, I suppose, in terms of that kind of face-to-face stuff?
Do you know what? I think looking back now, it would have been so beneficial for me to not have had the pandemic. I really went back the way in my development of being in human contact. I was trying so hard to overcome my anxieties of going to uni. I used to dread going. I didn't want to go to classes. I found it really hard to make friends. And it felt like everyone else was just making friends around me. And so going to online, I could hide. It was safe. I wasn't scared of being rejected. I wasn't scared of being unliked. I wasn't scared that I was going to be the only one left out. Everything. So I would say human contact helps you build who you are as a person, and it really helps you see that it doesn't matter if people don't like you. There's always going to be someone who does, and as long as you're okay in yourself, you're going to be okay regardless. You need to really find that self-love of you are worthy of friends, you are worthy of sitting in a room and for someone to want to speak with you and not just be in a clique somewhere else. And it's okay if you're the only one sitting alone. That's fine, because there's always going to be another room where you're not.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's really important for folk to hear, even just where you landed there in the end. You know, you might be on your own in this room, but there's another room that you're going to be in where you're not going to be on your own. And I think that's really important for people to hear. I wonder too if there's something about the confidence that you get by being with other people, that you're not having to do it by yourself.
Yeah, I think especially doing the estate agency now, I have gained so much confidence in speaking with people because they're entrusting me to sell their house, and you're meeting so many different types of people, and through that you see there's people who are your people, and there's people who just aren't, and that's okay. Like, there's always going to be people who are you're going to get on like a house on fire and things are going to be great, smooth sailing from start to beginning, and there's going to be people that you just think, I do not want to interact with you ever again, but that's what life's about. It's interacting with everyone, and you just need to deal with it. And I think that's what it's taught me is, people are your people or they're not your people, and that's okay.
Yep, and it's that freedom to be able to say that, isn't it? And there's something quite empowering in being able to say that too, isn't there?
There's such a trend now of protecting your peace, and that is, I think, is teaching a lot of people you don't need to put up with everyone else's crap. Basically, you don't need, if someone is not serving your peace and they're causing you so much turmoil in your life, they're not your people, and that's okay, because there's always going to be people who are.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean necessarily that they're wrong or that you're wrong. It's just that you're different.
Exactly. There's people that you're going to jail with, and they'll jail with other people in their lives, and it really does not mean that there is anything wrong at all with anybody else. It's just the way life is.
Yeah, totally. I'm very philosophical in the midst of it. We've gone all philosophical. So what about your own well-being then? How do you look after yourself?
I try really hard to go to the gym every day. That is a must for me. If I don't, then I find I'll get halfway through the day and be really upset with myself, and I just feel like it grounds me. If I have that energy release in the morning, then it really sets me up for a good day. And I also try and get out with the dog as well, so doing both of those things really helps me. And I find just like turning my phone off for half an hour, it's so easy to work through your lunch or not take a lunch, or what is a lunch? But if you just sit and don't have your phone on just for half an hour, the world's not going to end in that time. But the relief that you feel, especially with everything being on our phones, my full business is on my phone, all social media is on my phone, all my friends, my family, in that half an hour nothing is going to implode. That's right. And if it does, you probably won't be able to fix it anyway. You were always going to have to fix it afterwards, so just take that half an hour. It's something that I'm trying to start implementing, and I find myself, I don't always keep myself accountable. It's very easy to slip back into consistently on your phone the minute I'm out the gym, 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 10 at night, my phone, and that's just, it's not a way to live. You miss the full of the world then. Just put it down for half an hour, and that's how I try and, long story short, gym, walk in nature. I try and always get out, even if it's raining, because sometimes there's something so therapeutic about walking in the rain as well.
It's just as well, since we live in Scotland.
I know. I'm not sure the dog likes me for it, but and turn your phone off at least once a day.
There is something really important about getting outside. There's something about the sunlight, about the light that we get, and there's also something about just the feeling the ground under your feet almost. Definitely something quite important about that, and I take my hat off to you if you're going to the gym first thing in the morning.
Do you know what, it's actually just built into a routine now, and it would feel strange not to. I would say one other thing, especially because I struggle hugely with anxiety, is placing my feet on the floor. Just if I'm feeling really, I can feel myself starting to get worked up, stressed, things are imploding around me, and I just feel like I'm about to break any minute, just putting my feet on the ground and doing breathing, people have it, they call it the box or the triangle breathing or whatever, where you breathe in and then hold and then breathe out and then release and then go round and round until you feel better. And an analogy that someone said to me is, when you're holding your breath and then you breathe out, think of everything in your head that's going on and breathe all of those thoughts out. And then it just releases everything from your head. And it feels so much better. You just think, okay, what can I do now?
It's fabulous. Oh, and those are the kind of things that you actually want to be building in, like as lifelong practices, aren't they? You know, you don't want to be getting to your 40s or your 50s or even your 60s and thinking, I wish I'd done that. And so the fact that you've started now and are being really mindful about that now, actually, I would hope certainly stands you in really good stead for a healthy life in terms of balance.
I hope so. I really hope. I'm trying to do the right things in order to keep my head sane. I think you can really affect other people if you're not okay and you don't even notice it.
That's
so
right.
I'm really trying my hardest to be more self-aware and more kinder to myself. Because if you're doing all these things for yourself, you start to realise there's so many situations in a day that you just need to breathe. And then it's actually okay. Is this actually that big a deal, or am I going to be okay? Or like you said earlier on about, you do go through seasons where you can be really down and really low and struggle, and it's so many dark thoughts can come in, but it's just about remembering this will pass. There's a quote and it's like, this too shall pass, and I always think about that whenever I think of anything really dark or whatever. I just think, okay, it's gonna pass. Just let yourself lie on the couch for today, cry it out, hide from the world, but pick yourself back up tomorrow and it's going to be okay. You will be okay. I think it's the self-talk of self-soothing.
Yes, absolutely. And that's all the kind of stuff that we would work with clients with here or within our groups or whatever, and it's all about building resilience. That's just exactly what you're doing. You're increasing the amount of resilience that you have, and the more you can build that resilience, the more you become able to bounce back from, you know, whatever it is that life throws. And life can throw curveballs. You know, we know it can throw curveballs. So that question that we were talking about earlier on, that you said, oh my goodness, I don't know how to answer that, I'm going to throw it and see whether or not you've got an answer yet. So we ask everybody the same question because it does yield really interesting answers. So if you had a magic wand or fairy dust or something that you could sprinkle, that you could change one thing in our culture or our society that would massively impact mental health and well-being positively, what would it be? What would you change?
I'm not sure if I would change anything. I think I would add in like an hour a day where you just take time out and time to laugh. It's mandatory to find something that makes you laugh. Because I think if you laugh once a day, it can just make life that little bit easier, lighter, brighter. And I think everyone would have a lot better of a time living if we just laughed once a day, to be honest. I think that's what I rely on. If I think about going to see my friends, I think, I can't wait to laugh. That's the one thing that I think, I just can't wait to just laugh. And it just makes you feel so much better.
What a great answer. After you saying that you didn't think you had an answer, what a fabulous answer. I think you're absolutely right. There's something in all of that stuff that you've said that's very solid and very grounded and very intentional about actually looking after your mental health and well-being. And I think you're absolutely right. You said right at the start about everybody's got mental health, and you're right. Everybody does have mental health the same way everybody's got physical health. And in actual fact, I think it's folks like you who are talking about it the way you're talking about it that start to bring the two on an equal playing field, because nobody would be frightened or reserved about saying, I've got cramp in my leg today, or you know, I overdid it in the garden or at the gym yesterday and my back's really sore. Nobody would bat an eyelid at saying that, and that wouldn't even register for most of us hearing that. But yet we struggle to say, actually, I'm really struggling today because X, Y and Z, you know, and to get those on a level playing field, you know, I think it is folks like you that will actually change that in the culture to do that. So
I hope so. I hope that our kind of generation learning a lot more about mental health and ways to cope. I think that's all it is coping, because it's never going away, especially with social media. mental health and social media really go hand in hand. So I think by being able to teach ourselves and teach the coming generations of how to cope with our mental health, and even teaching our parents of this, okay, we're down today, doesn't mean you need to lash at everyone else. You can just be down and it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay, and just look after yourself.
Yep, fabulous. Thank you so much for being willing to come on and to share. We'll make sure that your estate agency is tagged in the show notes or in the wee blurb that goes out wherever this goes out on social media, so that it pushes your reach out as well. It really was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
And thank you so much for having me. It's actually been really nice. This has
go.
Almost been therapeutic.
There you go. Told you that it was going to be a nice, easy conversation.
Thank you.
So if you have joined us today and you think I could do what Stella's just done, then you can get in touch with us, because we would love to have you on our podcast. If you've got something that you want to share about mental health and well-being, or you just want to come and have this conversation because it's sure to go in the direction of mental health and well-being anyway, then drop us a wee message, messages on social media, drop us a wee email. You'll be able to find that on our website, which is www.healingfortheheart.co.uk. If you don't already follow us, or you don't already like us on our YouTube channel, then please do hit that button and give us a wee like, and see the next people just like us.